Okay, just to be clear, even though it should be pretty obvious, this is not the game I was building up towards in the Blazing Blade video.
For real?
Yeah, that's right. I am working on that, so please just bear with me while I'm doing that, and there is a reason why I'm talking about today's game first.
Blitworks, who are mainly known for porting over a lot of indie titles like Spelunky, Crypt of the Necrodancer, and Streets of Rage 4, have asked me directly to take a look at one of their games and spread the good word across the internet. Out of the list of games I was offered, I decided to go with ScourgeBringer, which actually came out in October 2020. What we have here is a roguelike hack and slasher developed by Flying Oak Games, E-Studio, and Dear Villagers. I've not covered a roguelike game on this channel before, but I normally find them to be hit and miss anyway. They're often a little too frustrating for me personally, and the idea of having to replay the same stages over and over again with slightly different layouts every time you start a new game, and slowly inch your way to victory through randomized items and sheer will is not usually my idea of fun. That was until nearly a year ago when I tried out Rogue Legacy for the first time and surprisingly found myself really enjoying it. It's still the same roguelike formula of tackling the same randomly generated areas, but unlike many other roguelike games that have you start from scratch every single time, playing more of Rogue Legacy would make some sort of impact to your progression. You could buy permanent upgrades, class attributes would change depending on who you used beforehand, and combining those elements to defeat the 4 bosses that also stay dead if you defeat them. This opened my eyes a little more to roguelike games in general, and how some of them may not be a total dick to you. ScourgeBringer looked to be cut from the same cloth, and it worked as a means of scratching that itch I've had since I did my first playthrough of Rogue Legacy and my New Game Plus run.
Just to clarify something else, before we go any further, I am not being sponsored to do this video at all. It's just a video game company asking me to share their video game and provide my thoughts and opinions on it. I don't think I'm popular enough to sell out just yet.
I was given a code for the Steam version of ScourgeBringer that works on both PCs and Macs, so I'll be basing this review on that. Though you can also buy it for the Switch and Xbox One, as well as the PS4 and Vita this upcoming April if you're interested. In a post-apocalyptic world, humanity is in danger from what looks like an unknown weapon that the game refers to as the ScourgeBringer, destroying countless cities, lives, and even contains the ability to travel so that it can bring forth more destruction on the go. You take control of the deadliest warrior in all the land, Kyra, as she heads inside the ScourgeBringer and slaughters her way through killer machines towards the heart of the base, hopefully causing its demolition and returning the world to normal. Pretty basic stuff, and that's all it really needs. Although you may come across a random room that holds various logs for a bit more backstory should you wish for it. Like many roguelikes, the star attraction is with the gameplay, and ScourgeBringer probably doesn't bring a whole lot new to the table, but it's still tightly designed and you feel like a badass as you zip around slashing bad guys while pretending that the floor is lava. Now let's start with that, the controls. Kyra is a pretty maneuverable gal. She can double jump, run and hop between walls, and can do a dash that hurts enemies upon contact, though you'll still get hurt if you dash into their bullets. Dashing can be done with such frequency, however, that running up walls almost feels kinda pointless. I mean, pulling off some smooth parkour is always going to be satisfying, and sometimes the wall running may help me a little, but there could also be a chance I might get stuck on the ceiling where there's a space that might count as a wall. You get the idea. Not always the most reliable, but 98% of the time, Kyra is quite darn fun to play with. Light attacks can be done at a very rapid pace, and heavy attacks are fairly handy too, if not just to briefly stun the enemies when they have a yellow exclamation point on their heads. Kyra's even able to use any guns that she finds to blow the enemies to Kingdom Come, some of which that can be fit with different modifications to give you slightly more assistance in combat, but you'll always start a run with your default pistol that can't be equipped with any modifications. I don't tend to use the guns all that much because the ammo drains pretty quickly, but it does sometimes help with the bigger threats, and ammo replenishment isn't too inconvenient. You just keep slashing away or pick up an item that fills it up straight away. The speed of ScourgeBringer is one of the most entertaining things about it to me, especially when it comes to the upgrades you can purchase through a literal skill tree to make the gameplay feel even faster. By defeating each of the 6 stages mini-bosses and the big boss at the end, known as judges, you'll obtain their blood that can be exchanged for permanent upgrades at this tree located at the starting point every time you die. And you are going to die a lot. It's guaranteed, which is not at all all uncommon for roguelike games. You're going to be repeating the first few levels a whole bunch of times, and the judges will come back in every single run. The mini-bosses won't always be the same either, and I honestly didn't really like the ones that persistently try to home in on you. They feel rather frustrating to evade no matter how many times I dash, and you can push them away with a heavy attack, but then you have to deal with its onslaught of bullets immediately afterwards. ScourgeBringer will punish you hard, and the only way to win is to keep buying those upgrades, learn the judges' patterns, figure out the best methods to beat them, and get there as efficiently as you can without getting hurt too much. Not that you aren't given any more help than that in spite of the difficulty. The stages will always have two separate shops inside them, one of which may need you to transfer some of your HP for a new weapon, modifications to your selected weapon, or an increase to your maximum health, while the other shop usually offers similar perks at the cost of blood you gather from killing enemies. If that isn't enough to go off of, then you can always look for an altar of blood scattered in each stage to give you a temporary buff that'll stay with you until you die. Again, it's all randomized, so if you're looking for a particular buff, you'll just have to hope that you get it in this altar or the next. I'd recommend going for the one that gives you a bunch of judge blood based on your progression. This makes unlocking the upgrades go by so much faster. Either that or the ones that increase your chances of an item dropping after clearing a room full of enemies, potentially increasing your sword and bullet damage, refilling your health, etc. That's something I shouldn't forget to mention. The stages themselves are actually pretty small, but almost every room will be filled with 1 or 2 waves of enemies, and you'll be locked in until you kill them all. Because of how speedy Kyra is, ridding a room of enemies isn't too annoying to deal with, and it only gets easier with upgrades, especially when you get to deflect their bullets with a well-timed heavy attack. However, you eventually get to that point of frustration where you're just fed up of the same rooms over and over again, and you want to reach the boss already so you can move on to the next stage. This is the case with a lot of roguelikes, to be fair, but sometimes I wish the rooms weren't locked all the time. You can somewhat mitigate this by taking part in these challenge rooms that randomly appear, where you kill a massive horde of baddies for a bunch of aforementioned items to make your progress moderately faster. But I'm not the best at doing them unharmed. I just end up losing more health than I intended. I only take them on if I feel like it. ScourgeBringer's not too long of a game despite that. You can acquire most of the upgrades in a few hours, and at that point all you need to do is just get good, as the cool kids say these days. As I said, the maps are fairly short. They can each be cleared in around 5 to 10 minutes, assuming you're not exploring every room, and there's only 6 levels in total, so it's only a matter of time before you discover the best strategies and clear the game. Unfortunately, I ran out of time before I could finish ScourgeBringer and had to hurry up with making this video. The furthest stage I'm able to consistently get to is level 4, where enemy bullets can now suddenly travel through walls, while you still have to climb your way around, making it a lot harder to avoid the bullets, which I do find to be legitimately annoying. Even after purchasing all of the upgrades available to me, I was still struggling to get anywhere past this point. I don't like reviewing games without finishing them, but it is how it is, and I know I'm not the best at roguelike games anyway. ScourgeBringer is a simple game, but it does its job pretty well. It's Rogue Legacy with more speed, and that's enough of a selling point for me. You may end up doing the same thing over and over again, but because of how small the game actually is, it never really gets boring, and there's a decent amount of replayability. The graphics are nice looking for that retro style while being well animated, the bosses are quite cool, and you feel like the most awesome warrior while playing ScourgeBringer. There is some semblance of luck involved in regards to the buffs and items you earn that'll either make or break your run, which no matter the game I don't normally enjoy about the roguelike genre, but if you think you're skilled enough it probably won't be a big issue. ScourgeBringer's up for $17, which might be a little much if you're a good enough gamer to breeze through it, but go on and check it out whenever you can. If you manage to beat it, my hat goes off to you.
Thank you to Blitworks for giving me the chance to try out their game, and I wish them the best of luck with any future projects. My apologies that this may not have been the video you guys came to expect, but consider it an appetizer before the main course. Next time we're getting into the game that I'm sure a number of you have been waiting for me to talk about, so I will see you then. Thanks everyone for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and take care of yourselves.